kind of weird that every time you do a Google search, the Kiwi demoniac page comes up. What the fuck did those guys ever do? Must be the tits. It's obvious we got a rapist in the hood. Hide your wife, hide your husband. Somebody else. Ma, you want wing sauce? Yeah. Shit. Well, whatever. The Messiah's got 4 lepers, 3 hookers, 2 divorce attorneys, and a tax collector all in front of you. Or sometimes the closed captioner can't keep up and they just bail. An emergency alert has been up.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
How was your week? What's going
on? Outside of today's impromptu trip to the supermarket, I swear if I had a cooking show, it would start and then I'd realize I was out of something and I had to go to the store. And that's exactly what happened today. I had made my satanic hash browns, where if you're a Patreon member, you know how to make. Yeah. If you're a Patreon of the show. I had started the bacon and the sausage. And usually the last thing I do with the eggs, because they take the least amount of time, got all the good ingredients cut up for the omelet, the peppers, the tomatoes, the onions, and then promptly realized we had no eggs. So I go to the store and it was just this, we're having some kind of bizarre tropical storm, which if I didn't watch the news or hear the chatter.
It's Hurricane Ophelia.
No, tropical storm. Not even tropical storm anymore. It's just rain. But everybody's freaking out. So I don't know if that's why everyone was at the food store. But one lady was like going to beat me up to get a cart. And I didn't want a cart. I just wanted to get into the store. And she was super aggressive. And then this other guy decided he was going to be super smart and just grab one of those little hand baskets. But instead of grabbing the hand basket, he grabbed the entire rack because it was empty. And the thing on the bottom kind of looks like a cart. And he picked it up and the things went everywhere. And he just looked at me and went, fuck. I just kind of agreed and went around him.
Real men don't carry those little baskets around in the store. You either get a cart or you get nothing.
I've done it before where I have.
Well, you're female. That's different.
I get the cart, but I pile way too much stuff in the cart. And then I'm like struggling to get at the checkout.
Also, real men don't use umbrellas. I'm sorry. I would just
I don't use umbrellas either.
The rain's not going to kill you. Just get wet. Run from the car to your office. You don't need an umbrella. This is not Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
So we are going to do a show on Monday, and guess who it is? Cavalier. We're going to witness all the old Sepultura that is the backbone of my childhood. It'll be a wild night. Who else is with them?
Incite and Exhumed.
Oh,
and
God.
De Solis. I'm not as familiar with them, so maybe
I hope we make it back alive. But if we don't, what a way to go, right?
What a way to spend a Monday night, right?
I never saw Sepultura, so this is really going to be something. The fact that they're focusing on like Beneath the Remains and schizophrenia and the first split, I'm just so excited about it. That is the greatest head slamming music ever made, possibly. So.
By the way, this is not a band. I just thought it was a cool shirt, but I looked it up. Graveyard Shift. It was one band, I believe it was from Finland in 2005, and there's even a question mark on Metal Archives. I can't believe there's no other bands called Graveyard Shift.
I know, it's weird.
So here's another freebie for you guys. Free band name, because they're split up.
And you're wondering probably why our background is a sock puppet? I will tell. All will be revealed throughout the show. So, in other news, guess who has a new book that drops this month? Scott Burns of Morrisound.
Wow.
We will be acquiring this immediately. And it's going to be full of stories that we'll share about Decay, Cannibal, Gorguts, all the Morrisound bands, Sepultura. Yeah. So I'm sure he's got some stories. So that's on the horizon. Plus, I have a want list on Discogs. It's all ridiculous stuff that I'll never be able to afford, right? So I got a mail from Discogs today that the item I want is actually available. They have an original cassette copy of Vel Witches cassette from Japan. Only $660. And it's 4 songs.
Wow. What's that breakdown to? That's like $200 some a song.
I think we're going to continue listening on YouTube. So. Okay. So Stace made me aware of something I did not know, and that is what?
There is actually a pope, and you can look this up.
It's the current pope, right?
Well, previous to getting the big gig,
Yeah.
his old job was a nightclub bouncer.
Wow.
This is Pope Francis.
Right,
You know,
okay.
he used to go by Rough Guy Frank. No, kidding. I just made that part up.
Okay.
But he really did. He was, and this is in, basically tossing unruly drunk folks on their asses in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Can't be like, a cakewalk.
No, I wouldn't think so.
So, yeah. So he would have been a great disciple. I mean, maybe, he could have even been Jesus's bodyguard.
Did Jesus have a body?
Just standing there, all muscles and piety, and a white wife beater and a beanie.
Hold up there, Chief. Don't crowd the son of the big man. Gonna have to have you take a step back, a few paces here. The Messiah's got 4 lepers, 3 hookers, 2 divorce attorneys, and a tax collector all in front of you. If you catch my meaning, I think you might want to go home and come back later. So,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
Eventually, the lepers get together and they figure out that if they slip Bartholomew, the bodyguard, a couple of shekels, he'd let them move up in line. If they wanted water turned to wine, it was 10 shekels more. And moving large boulders that seal the tombs, that's market price. So. Yeah. All because she mentioned the bodyguard thing. Yeah. So no, not bodyguard, the bouncer.
Bouncer, yeah. It's true. You can look it up.
All right. So another thing that came up through this whole hurricane Ophelia stuff, where they just keep trying to make you panic at the end of the world's coming. I was thinking about it, and when the network interviews newscasters, I think they have 2 traits they look for. Okay. 1, I want you to read the following in a way that makes it sound like the world is ending. You have to have that tension in your voice.
Call to urgency.
Residents of the 1100 block of Erdman Avenue are becoming increasingly concerned about the unidentified figure being dubbed the plush toy bomber. Apparently, the unnamed individual has been leaving soft, fluffy toys in public places, and it's beginning to cause a stir with the locals. So far, the vintage Funshine Bear, 2 plush unicorns, and 2 Paddington Bears, one of which had the collectible rain boots and briefcase, have been mysteriously found at Clifton Park and the Ravenwood Avenue bus stop. One report of contact dermatitis was suffered by someone who was hit by a unicorn and tragically allergic to satin polymers.
Tragic. That is tragic. What?
Back to you, Deborah. Yeah. And then what's the other one?
From this group of random people, pick out the most illiterate homeless person that talks like they've got a mouthful of marbles.
Okay. Sir, what exactly happened when you were down at the park bench this morning?
Well, I buzz trying to figure out what I'm doing my low. Hey, Lucy, hello. And as I checked my pocket, I found this stuff there. A perfectly good ciggy. Oh, stop. So it reminds me of my cousin TG.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
They will not pick out the investment banker that just got out of his Mercedes that's well-spoken and literate.
And I think they know people like this. Like, we were pulling up some of those random viral, like, the guy, hide your wife, hide your girlfriend, hide your cats, hide your husband.
It's obvious we got a rapist in the hood. Hide your wife, hide your husband.
Or even that, remember Kai, the murdering backpacker? He had quite a online kind of crazy. People loved him.
What was it? Smash. That was crazy. I never would have thought that would have ended the way it did.
No, it kind of ended on a tragic note. But I think people are love these characters, and like you said, this is why Eddie Murphy's characters are so believable, because they're
coming to America, because they're not even that exaggerated. Right? No one wants to say, "What's your name?" Trevor Atkinson, and where do you work? I work for the Allstate Insurance Company. No one cares about that.
No,
they want hide your wife, hide your husband, hide the cats. Okay, why don't you introduce our feature interview?
Our feature interview this week is with JuJulien Deyres of the long-standing tech death metal band from France, Gorod. It's a great chat with lots of stories from JuJulien, who incidentally has been the singer for over 13 years. We chat about the making of the orb and subsequent videos, as well as his love for art history. We play around the blaspheming monikers and even get into some Aldous Huxley discussion. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, let's play a song. This is from Gorod's 2010 opus Ethra. This is Becton's Curse. Okay, it's time for Escapement from the Basement.
You forgot Patreon.
Oh, fuck, sorry, I know. It's not time for that. Forget about the Russians. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts. Come say hi. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook as well. Our TikTok is blowing up, so go say hi over there too.
Yeah, and don't keep us to yourselves. Don't be selfish.
Yeah.
Share us for other people to enjoy. Do the proper thing and share the good thing you found.
Don't hide us. Don't hide your wife. Don't hide your children.
Don't hide this podcast.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so on Patreon this week, I've decided I'm going to review the entire I Hate God discography. I'll give you a little cheat sheet. They're all great, but the degrees of which
The
they're
degrees of
great.
greatness.
Yes, will have to be examined. Mike Nine used to write for me back when I had a website. He was one of the writers. He used to write reviews for me. I loved it. Everything was Satan and death and nails and stuff. He was great. So anyway, so we have that to look forward to. Did you ever do your pickle thing?
I need to do that. I need
Gotta
to
do
get
the
some
satanic.
cucumbers.
Get some cucumbers and we'll do some satanic. You guys are gonna love the satanic pickle recipe that she came up with the fridge.
And
Great.
it's really easy. You don't have to worry about actually doing the canning part, which is the pain.
Yeah.
They're in mason jars, but they're refrigerated pickles, so you don't have to do the seal and all that shit.
Right. So head over to
for a month.
Right. So head over to patreon.com and for $6.66 a month, you get tons and tons of bonus content, more every week. And we really appreciate your patronage.
And remember, when you support us, you also support the artists that we love to go to concerts to. So in supporting us, you are supporting the music.
And you help us pay for props, of which you're going to see some new ones this week. I don't want to ruin it. So, all right, why don't you introduce this week's Escapement from the Basement?
Oh, I love this one.
Yes, this was a good one.
This week's Escapement from the Basement. This was a good one. It takes us to perhaps the coolest record store in all of Baltimore, Protean Books and Records. We have a great visit with longtime employee Steve Craven, no relation to Wes, who discusses how they acquired such a cool spot with acres of rooms, all stuffed to the gills with records, cassettes, books, swag, and a seemingly endless inventory of cool collectibles. Take it away.
All right, we are here at Protean Books, Records, and it appears a lot more.
Yes.
With Wes's younger nephew. No, it actually is no relation. But this is the wonderful Steve Craven who's going to be letting us know all about this wonderful place. All right, so the first thing, Protean sent me off into a tailspin. I was like, wait, is that the Greek god thing, or is that the definition of varying and changing?
Pretty much that right there is the varying, changing. That's what we're all about.
You sure have a lot of great stuff here.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we do. It's taken quite a while to get it all together, but yeah, lots of stuff.
How did you come to be in such a great space?
Yeah, exactly.
So we were in a location on Charles Street, and we were very quickly outgrowing it.
Right.
And we decided to expand, and we found out this place was available. So we opened in 2011 at those smaller stores, like a double storefront. And then in 2015, we moved over to here.
I'm so glad we found out about you, because I used to be a big U-kazooer when they were in Towson,
yeah.
and then they got smaller and moved, and now they're done.
Yeah.
So I was so excited to, find another place that has that and more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to always do all my fill-in Christmas gifts for the kids there, because they were all big readers and all that good stuff. So how did you come to be in this book, record, everything business?
Well, I'm the owner. He spent a lot of time, a very long time, building everything up, and then he decided to one day to just start. He had a store, opened it, and yeah, I mean that was it's been a long time process.
Yeah.
Now, do you just sell like the vintage stuff or new stuff, or is it?
We sell new stuff as well. The books we were mostly used. May find a couple of new things here and there, but most of what we have is used. Records, we do have a large selection of new records that have come out, and like the new Taylor Swift,
Oh yeah.
like that kind of stuff that we do get in.
There sure has been a resurgence of vinyl
Oh, yeah.
collecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's in terms of books? What's hot right now? What are you seeing a lot of?
I mean, I what moves a lot is like right now literature is a big.
Oh really?
Yeah. A lot of literature moves, and like fiction, stuff like that.
It's cool. Yeah, I love reading paper books because I feel like I'm unplugged from the system when I'm doing it. You know what I mean? It almost feels like I'm going against the whatever the algorithm is that
I
we're plugged
can
into.
do electronic books. I love the smell of a bookstore. I love the feel and the texture of books, and I'm sure many of your customers feel that way.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I think that I mean I know a while like e-readers were big, and I feel like that like I noticed that right after COVID, when we reopened, like we just tons of books started selling.
Yeah.
I think during that 3 months of shutdown, people started like finding books in their houses and started reading them again. And what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And they realized how much better physical book is versus the electronic.
You
Very
drop
hard
you drop a physical book in the sand. It's not like, oh fuck, it's ruined.
That's right.
Just dust it off and keep going. Yeah.
Yep.
So I saw on your Facebook page that you do cassettes as well. Is there a format that seems to be in a certain demographic, or is it kind of all over the place?
Well, like I feel like a lot there's like this surgence of cassettes with younger people, like people in their like late teens and early 20s are buying cassettes like because I guess they weren't around for it.
Which people my age cannot believe.
Yeah, no, I'm
We
there,
thought
dude.
cassettes were
I'm there.
dog shit back in the day. I mean, they were just the
always
worst of the
broke
worst. Yeah, if you stopped it halfway through, you had to drop out the tape.
Yeah.
So, but no, you're right. I've heard this from a lot of like the Gen Zs love cassettes.
And CDs are starting to like rear up a bit. Like I saw a lot of CDs.
Oh, that's cool because I got about 3,000 of those.
I think we all do.
When they came out with cassette singles, I'm like, this is the
Stick a
worst
single.
thing ever.
I stick a single. Yeah, no, it was horrible.
And you're done. So how did the idea to like incorporate boutique clothing, did that come right away, or was it a little later?
No, so the owner, his name is Matt. He's like every day he would go out find things for the store. And he started finding the awesome clothing, and started just like building up a collection to sell. And then about I feel like a year and a half ago, we started putting it out on the floor, and it's just been it's crazy how much we sell of that stuff. It's really fantastic. Like a lot of people are coming in because I mean we have clothes dating from the late 50s, early 60s to Raven jerseys.
Wow.
So it's like everything in between. Like it's really fun part of the business.
Is that a bar over there, or
Yes.
is it like working, or is it?
No, I mean it's got a refrigerator.
Okay.
And it's got like we can't do anything with booze around here, but
Was it like there when you got the building? It was.
no, we had it built.
Wow, that's so cool.
You could do coffee back there.
Sure, yeah.
Coffee and books always goes well together.
Yes, it does.
There for a while at the Towson Library, they had a barista as you walked across. I had to hit her every time.
Yeah. There's so much going on, and then there's a stage here. Do you ever have like anybody perform here? or anything?
We've done comedy shows.
Okay.
And a matter of fact, we use that corporate that we have a couple parties a year, and so sometime in October, probably mid late, we're going to have a big Halloween party. Might be our last one here at this location. So we are someone bought the building. They want to eventually tear it down to build condos,
Mhm.
and so we're going to be looking for soon. We'll probably be at least in the looking around for another spot.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, but yeah, it'll be a great Halloween party. They're fun every year.
Oh, I bet.
So is everything you see here for sale, or are the posters and all just to add some decoration?
So about probably a good like 99% of the things in here are for sale. There are like a handful of things that we like to have around, but for the most part, I'd say yeah, like 98, 99% is for sale.
I love it.
After I get paid, I'm buying that. I love Lucy there. I gotta have that. That's great.
So I love how like when on your social media, I don't know who does it, but they're great because they like highlight different genres from time to time. Of course, I zoned right in on the metal, and they had a little mortician pentagram.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
That's cool.
Do you focus on different things, to try to get different demographics in, or just whatever's hot right then? Or?
Oh, we have so many awesome things in the store that sometimes I'm just like, what do I want to post today? And I walk around and I look to see what catches my eye at that moment, and I'll pull it. And then, of course, like when we get new records in, we'll make a post of like some of the samples that came out of the collection. So we try to give an idea. And then I also really like having our customers on our social media. And I've had it where so many times where customers I'm like, hey, can I take a picture of you holding your new record? And they're like, I was hoping you'd ask me, like, because people like to be on our social media page.
We had the Bowery of Antiques on the show
yeah.
in Parkville, and they sell a lot of vinyl. And ever since then, I'm able to haggle with them. Like, I will come up with a vinyl, and I'll go, "There's a stain on the back here. Are you sure 15?" And he'll go, "All right, 12 for you, Mark." And I'm like, "Okay." And has anyone ever tried to haggle with you?
Oh, I mean, it's part of the I feel like it's part of the business. And
Okay.
we have a lot of regulars that come in, and we definitely work with them on prices.
Gotcha.
The newer stuff, because it's not cheap, it's harder to do. But a lot of the used stuff we're able to definitely
make a deal. Yeah.
Have you ever had someone come in with a collection that they didn't think was anything, and it was something really rare?
Oh, of course, yeah, that happens.
And do you have like an expert? I guess in some level you have to have an expert
Well,
as far as vetting.
We have the people who work here, like 2 or 3 of us know records so well. I mean, I'm 45. I've been buying records since I was 7.
What was the record you sold? And the guy said no, it was a club version.
Well, yeah, that was my fault. But yeah,
yeah.
you got to get the exact. I love like
Pressing.
the huge pressings that they used to have for like Jethro Tull records or whatever. When it's pages and pages of pressings, like this is the Indiana pressing, this is the Pittsburgh pressings.
Yeah, it does get a little tedious.
Yeah, it
when
is.
when you're pricing a stack of records, you're like, all right, I got to figure this out.
It's the enormity of how many needed to be pressed that those bands sold 50, 60, 70,000 copies.
Easily,
It's
yeah.
crazy, like especially like Jethro Tull jumping around in a codpiece, Meanwhile, the guys in Slade are like, we can't get a hit over there,
Yep.
What do we do,
I hear you.
Well, since we are a music podcast, what is on your Spotify repeat list or on your turntable?
I play a lot of like Kinks, the Monkees. I love the Monkees. David Bowie is one of my favorites. Stuff like that. It's like all over the place. Like I listen to a lot of different stuff. But yeah, when you guys came in, I was playing the Kinks.
Yeah, we were talking the other day. A friend of mine was talking about proto jangle pop. Like who was before the Byrds? And I could only think of the Monkees and the Beatles. I was like, Velvet Underground. That wasn't until later.
That's not that far though. It's like 67.
Yeah,
First album came
that
out.
all kind of coalesced around the same time. That was fun.
Yeah.
We got to get back there when I get some money. I need that Vitamita Vegemin thing with I Love Lucy on it.
I think we could probably browse around there for an hour, maybe more.
And that's fun back here too. Which, by the way, we got some new stuff back here. We got my naked tattoo lady that I've always wanted to have back there. We gave Sabrina a break. She didn't take it well. No.
She's still here. She's just in the library.
And also, I don't know if you can really see it, but there's is it Moira from
Moira.
Moira from Orad. So yeah, the wall of fame continues to grow. Okay. So I was thinking about alternate names for retirement homes. Retirement homes, you'll notice they always have like these very staid names: Brightview Senior Living, The Cottages at Columbia, Getaway Retirement Home. I think we can do better. And a lot of these, if we can't get them to name their facility these names, at least make a T-shirt, because these are T-shirt worthy. So first, I'll come right out of the blocks with Claudia's House of Bingo and Unprotected Sex. I mean, who wouldn't want to put their grandfather there?
You do know it is true that assisted living and nursing homes are a hotbed for syphilis and gonorrhea.
Oh, I believe
No
it. Yeah.
joke.
All right, how about you take the next one? I love the next one.
My only commute is to trivia night.
You getting the idea, people? All right. Screw your inheritance. It's karaoke time. How about that one? My Secret Santa actually is Santa. How about that?
Barkville, nurse next door.
We want a marijuana in the sauna.
Antiquated health options and laundry fluff and fold. See,
Right.
that's one of those combo businesses.
Blue Hair Hilton and Dive Bar.
I want to go there.
And
Elder Garden.
finally, yeah.
Yeah, and finally, Elder Garden and adult daycare.
Yeah.
I hate that word, adult daycare.
Why?
I don't know why. It always just sounds really sad to me. And maybe it's that one patient who comes in with the thick Russian accent who always hands me the card of the place that picks him up and say, "You call my daycare. You call. They pick up me." That's what he always tells me. And it just seems sad. I don't know why.
Forget about the Russians. Okay. So again, we're just such continuity. Again, back to the weather and the weather reports and the Hurricane Ophelia stuff. I'm sitting at lunch talking to Stace and I'm watching the local news. I don't know why this is this way because it's very easy to get a bot to close caption what you're saying. I mean, the TikTok does it automatically. Facebook does it automatically, but somehow this news station was old school and they had some actual person typing the closed captioning and they were awful.
Or it was AI who couldn't keep up.
No.
No.
So no. AI might get like one or two things wrong. And so here's what it does. So the weather chick says a cold front pushes eastward this morning with high pressure building in for the rest of the work week. And I noticed across the bottom of the screen it says a cold occult physician warning with Fran Drescher chilled ring for the cold bleak. I'm like, what the hell is that? Can I get a swig of whatever the person is drinking? So, here's another one. Clouds to Sunday this afternoon with highs in the 70s and northwest winds pushing up to 20 miles an hour. Lighter winds Tuesday and Wednesday with highs around 80. And what came across?
Born to Run now, Peggy Sue was high in the 70s and moved out west. Rustling 20 dives per hour. Gone with a Schwinn Tuesday and Wednesday. Thighs spreading to Warren Beatty.
I feel sorry for the actual deaf people trying to figure out what's being said. Or sometimes the closed captioner can't keep up and they just bail. An emergency alert has been up. Anyway, anyone with information are encouraged to call 544-1234. That's the best. Oh, you weren't paying attention anyway.
It looks like they were, doing the closed captioning and then, their favorite sports team was on TV behind them and they looked up to catch the big play and missed the rest of it.
Somebody else. Ma, you want wing sauce? Yeah. Shit. Well, whatever. All right. Anyway, all right, let's play a song from Gorod. Why don't you introduce it, babe?
This is one of my favorites from Gorod's new one. It's the title track from The Orb.
Okay, what are we, Coffee AM this week?
Yeah.
Okay, it's time to talk about Coffee AM.
Coffee AM is a wonderful virtual store that you can visit online. We get our coffee from there every month. They are a rewards program, so the more points you accumulate, you get discounts on your orders. They have a wide range of coffees. You can choose regular decaf. You can even choose whole bean, drip grind, French press, however you would like it. There's tons of options. There's flavors, there's fair trade, there's micro lot coffees. They've got super expensive, like that coffee from Hawaii that costs about $30 a bag, or they have more reasonable blends. So whatever you're looking for in your coffee, you can find it here. We have some favorite flavors, I think, are the Rainforest Crunch The tiramisu is really
The
good.
blueberry thing you got was good too, whatever that was.
The blueberry coconut
Is that what it was?
is
Yeah.
really good.
My car's too big to park in the mic for a lot. I can't do it.
So click on our link. It will save you off your first order from Coffee AM. They're out of Georgia, but they will deliver anywhere. FedEx to your door.
Very good. Okay. Very exciting. We're going to introduce a new feature for Snaggletooth Decay, Satanic Sock Theater.
I don't know if I'm ready.
I think we're ready.
Okay.
This week, our Mark and Stace protagonist puppets explore a very famous extreme metal book. Take it away. Hey, sock puppet Stace.
Hey, I didn't know you were going to be here.
Of course, to introduce Snaggletooth's newest feature, Satanic Sock Theater.
Intriguing. What are we supposed to talk about?
Well, I just happen to have a copy of the legendary history of extreme metal, Albert Mudrian's Choosing Death. I thought we'd read a little.
Okay, what part are we going to read?
Well, there's a very interesting section about Earache's label owner signing some bands to major labels without their consent or knowledge. How about that?
Okay. We thought the Earache Columbia collaboration was the kiss of death for Earache, and we weren't extremely happy about it, says Bolt Thrower bassist Joe Bench. When major labels get involved in a scene, they usually end up killing it. Luckily, Bolt Thrower weren't dragged down in it. The Columbia marketing team knew these artists had significant fan bases upon which to build. Slick videos and aggressive advertising campaigns would help, but to reach beyond the underground death metal disciples, they would need to work more exotic angles. Entombed had already determined that Wolverine Blues would be the title of their next LP, so Josh Sarabin contacted Marvel Comics attempting to tie in with the record and one of Marvel's most popular characters, Wolverine. To their astonishment, Marvel agreed, not only allowing the label to use an image of Wolverine on the initial pressing of the record cover, but also permitting a lavish, partially animated video to be filmed featuring Wolverine for the LP's title track. Not everyone, however, was overjoyed with the turn of events.
It was like we were run over by a tank or something, recalls Entombed drummer Nick Anderson. We had nothing to say about it. The actual song was taken from a James Ellroy book about this killer that was obsessed with the animal, the Wolverine. And Sony was like, oh, the Wolverine from Marvel Comics. None of us had ever read it. But they came up with this great marketing idea that they should include the comic and the video. We were like, is this a good idea? For Carcass's impending Heartwork album, the label commissioned prestigious artist H.R. Geiger to provide a cast aluminum sculpture for the album's cover. Similarly, Columbia hired high-profile artist Antonio Serrano to direct the promotional video for the first single that would become Godflesh's more rock-oriented Selfless LP. Although the arresting clip for Crush My Soul cost over $75,000 to film, the powerful religious imagery was deemed too offensive by MTV, and the video was never shown on the channel. Kind of reminds me of what happened with Atlantic Records in the 80s.
So what did they do?
Their marketing ideas sabotaged the band's careers, basically. Like they signed Raven and came up with the ridiculous athletic rock image where they were all wearing silver hockey outfits and shin guards on the album covers. They looked ridiculous. The one album had a cover of Steve Winwood's Give Me Some Lovin' on it.
Oh, that's not a good look at all.
Loudness, too. They tried to hone their image to something like the Scorpions, but they were just too heavy. So they became too slick for their old fans and too extreme for new ones.
The genius of sales.
Oh, sorry your eye fell off. I hate when that happens.
Bummer. Makeup!
Another first has been established in the world's podcasting. I feel sorry for you people that are just listening on Spotify. You got to check this shit out. I'm telling you. Just keep coming up with props.
Well, at least I got to enjoy the story. Either
Yeah.
way.
Okay. Let's play the theme for Campfire.
Because streaming services are evil corporations that gatekeep bands from their fans and pay them pennies while collecting millions.
This is Campfire.
Campfire this week is classic thrash from San Francisco, legendary Insanity. The site is insanitymusic.bandcamp.com.
Did you see the little tidbit I came up with on them?
Mm-mm.
They were one of the first bands to combine the speed and aggression of thrash metal and the brutality of the heaviness of death metal. Their 1985 rehearsal demo was recorded with a Walkman and a stereo microphone in a garage. And it's since gained global renown. A Walkman in a garage.
Oh dear, this is some kind of compilation of all their early shit. Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, if you look on their Bandcamp, lots of goodies available. There's a nifty vinyl reissue of their classic Death After Death from 93. Plus, I see the demo from 85 you just talked about, and 2 versions of the reunion album, Visions of the Apocalypse, one with original drummer Bud Mills, who passed away in 07, and then the fully mastered version of the album with Juan Caracez on drums.
Isn't it great finding stuff like this?
It is.
There wasn't an Insanity record within 100 miles of any Baltimore record store I ever visited. And what a shame. Right out of the Bay Area like all the greats, but just a notch heavier, darker, and bloodier than they needed to be, and probably had no idea how to market themselves. So they slowly plummeted into obscurity while crap like Blind Delusion clogged up the racks.
Wait a minute, I got a story about that. I actually lost a friend over that. There was a guy that I used to go back and forth with online, and we'd talk about, music that we liked. And I said that I thought that Blind Delusion was dog shit and that these guys were way better. And we both got so furious over the argument that we stopped talking. So
That's a man thing.
it actually cost me a friend. Anywho, so he was a big Primus guy, Anyway, all right, so let's play a song. This is Fire, Death, Fate. Okay, that song we just played, Fire, Death, Fate. I mean, tell me honestly that you don't have the urge to start smashing beer bottles in the parking lot when you hear it. All right, but you're lying. Speed, twisted precision, a roaring bottom end, that sense of urgency so abstract and hard to find in this type of music. Rotting Decay just mows over everything with that brain-blasting low-end roar, drums rattling like a loose tailgate. Bob Martinez has that sort of mournful shriek. It puts the whole thing right on the border between dark thrash and early death metal. And that is a great place for a record to land. They're all over the place. I love the way, like, you'll be 3 minutes into a song and you're like, okay, I guess this is instrumental. And then out of nowhere, it's so you're like, okay, maybe not. They just had some stuff to do first. So, as I said, I have the CD. This is a comp. I'm afraid to even look and see how much it would cost for an original copy of the LP. But I recommend you round up all your second-tier thrash and death in a laundry basket and sell the whole thing as a bartering tool to get a hold of Insanity. So let's play another song. This is Rotting Decay.
So this was our great talk with Julian of Gorod. We really enjoyed visiting with him. What a great guy and a great sense of humor. Great vocals on this one, both clean and unclean. I love their music because it always has like the crushing part and then the interlude, and then they bring the heavy back in. So check it out.
Pay attention to when he talks about the influences of the guitarist. It's jaw-dropping stuff. I mean, this is not the Ramones, people.
By far, you guys are my favorite ones to cook to.
Yeah.
I
Really?
do this thing in the morning on the weekends where I make my own hash browns from potatoes. So it's great for you use a cheese grater to grate up the potatoes. It's perfect.
Okay.
Very intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
cooking
from
time.
the moment the needle drops on this record,
Yeah.
By the way, what in the world is a chromatheism?
You mean what does it mean?
Yeah.
Actually, some kind of expression I managed because on this latest album, I was working on many different, let's say, novels, books, and sources, and my major one was some sort of philosophy essay or from the writer Aldous Huxley.
Okay, yeah.
And he's talking about some kind of so it's not Brave New World. These are some other reflections and stuff that he was compiling, and this one is talking about idolatry and different kind of idolatry. And there is one about objects, which is supposed to be, let's say, the more how we call it ingenious. No, I forgot. He's using some kind of specific words to call it. Like it's one of the most stupid one in the end. Like the facts of making objects turning into gods or some kind of divinities. And so this is this process that we made. So this can be identified like in pagan culture. So for instance, like a statue, making it like just something you've been sculptured and you did with your own hands, and then you identify it as some kind of divinity, like it has this like the highness of a god of a god or something like this. But this is just a fact of making objects that way. And crematism in that thing so is connected to more to technology now, so in a modern way, like yes
course,
for
yeah.
instance. So you know, like this can, let's say, we can be enslaved by this kind of stuff and like making this thing like so they're not celebrating themselves, but making them godlike in a way. They are connecting people in like in a way that's we couldn't do it a bit before that. So this is definitely the thing, like turning objects into divinity, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. There's no breaks in that one. There's absolutely no breaks. You're like out of breath at the end. It comes in hard, and then you guys are just gone. There's no intro. There's no outro. It's just I love it.
Yeah, just like straightforward. This is something we wanted to do because we've been talking lately, and like okay, there are intro all the time, and this time we've been discussing with Mathieu because Mathieu is the main composer. He's making the music basically since the beginning of the band. And we're like, okay, this time no intro, nothing, like everything, all the instruments all together, and like what the hell? Like you push play and then you missed the first informations that you are compelled to. Okay, what happens? Yeah, this is something like very surprising. Wanted to do something like just what the hell? And like the topic is everything is already in like on the first second. Yeah, this is we want it to be surprising this time, like doing exactly the opposite of progressive stuff that we are tending to do now.
Right. Well, the Aethra album was all about moons and cults, whereas the Orb seems to change to themes of the sun and adds in the Aldous Huxley angle. Like, how did you guys decide to go with that theme?
A 1932 novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many, but for actually I'm writing, this is my job to write all the concepts, all the lyrical process, all the lyrical topics and everything. Like we are always cut it in two parts. Like Mathieu is doing the music, I'm doing all the concepts, and that's it. So we work all together. And I mean, for the Aethra, I've been inspired right after an exhibition, and there was an exhibition of the painter Paul Gauguin. There was a retrospective in the Grand Museum of the Grand Palais in Paris, and like this one was very interesting because it was like not his whole work but many different stuff he was working on. And he spent a lot of time in Polynesia, so in this kind of islands, and he's been studying their devotion, the divinities, the way they are seeing nature, and the way they are seeing their gods. So sure, this is a pagan culture in a way. And so it really started with a picture with his name Hina. And this is the name of a goddess. This is the song number 5, if I'm not wrong. And so this is one is really connected with that. And I was like, oh, I didn't know about that divinity. I was like, yeah, this is very interesting, like how this thing is done. And this is something very connected with us, but so far away in the same way. And when I went out of the museum, it was late. It was in the evening because it was closing at 8 or so, 8 p.m. something like that. And I saw the big moon. Like it was not full moon, but I was like, oh, that's cool. And Hina is the goddess of the moon in a way. I was like, okay, let's do it. Like I was just inspired by elements and things. So it's just right after, because I'm going to museum, because I'm actually an art historian, and I'm really connected with anything that comes to art. And so as I was working on the moon for the previous one, logically, I was like, okay, let's work about the sun. Simple as that.
Yeah.
No.
Wow. It's meant to be.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of people say like 1984 was, some of the stuff has come true. But in this one, like that kind of hedonistic society where it's, what was it? They say no privacy, no family, no monogamy. I think sometimes the no privacy thing has come true.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, to be honest, like I do appreciate the work of George Orwell, but I'm really more connected with the way of seeing things as Aldous Huxley. And for him, to me, is way more interesting because it's a bit less how can I say? It's a bit less austere. It's a bit less let's say pessimistic. It is, but this is Huxley is really more connected with spirituality in this way, and philosophy. Like George Orwell, this is definitely dystopia, and this is
Yeah, it's so
there is no
bleak.
point of no return. There is no hope. There is nothing, and like yeah, no privacy, nothing. Like everything is controlled. And I think with the work of Huxley, there is a bit something not positive, but there are more options in the way he's thinking and actually getting in touch with this let's say dark topics. And so sure, there's something well, but definitely I'm more like connected with the Oxley aspect. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So what are the secrets with Gorod in producing music that has tight musicianship, kick-ass quality, always true to the genre, and you're consistent for so many years? Is it the people? Is it a feeling? What do you think the secret is?
So many things, because yeah, actually the band was created 25 years ago now. So they started in 1987. I was not in the band at the time. There are only two members that are still there, and Mathieu. So I'll tell you about him before that. And he's the main composer. He has always been the composer. Like he's making the music since the very beginning until the end, until now. So sure, this is something you can recognize, and it's consistent because it comes from the same mind. Like the overall stuff, like 70s, he wrote like more than 70 songs for Gorod now, and you can recognize his touch, his way of doing things. Even I mean, the very old ones we were on the demo, and like sounds really, let's say, old school and cheap in a way, but this sounds already like even the newest stuff. So there is this thing. So what makes it, let's say, logical and consistent, because it just comes from the same mind. And there have been many lineup change, but in the end, I mean, all the time the new members try to respect, let's say, to honor what was done previously, even if it's changing a bit. Because to me, the major change was the drumming. Because their two first albums, that used to be Sandrine. So that was a girl who she was more into groovy stuff. So she was not blasting, not doing super fast double bass and everything. And when Sam joined the band later on, he was really into this super fast tech that stuff. So it's changed. That was a switch, but still, even if it's when I mean, if it's the composition are faster, more technical, more aggressive, there's still the same thing because it comes from the same mind. So this and now I mean the lineup is stable, like it's the same for 13 years now.
Yeah.
So almost, yeah. Like I mean, I joined the band in 2010. Then Nico, the other second guitar player, I mean, the soloist is like joined them in 2010 right after me. And Carol is now a new drummer, but he's with us for 10 years now. So this is the same team, the same way of doing things, and coming from the same mind. And I mean, I think, yeah, sure. Even if there are some change, nothing has changed that much in the end. That's what I think.
Yeah, I really thought Aretha was going to be hard to top, but honestly, I believe that you've done it with this one. It stays true, like you said, to those early sounds, but there's even with you, you know, a better vocal range and more layers of those guitar harmonies. So was the songwriting process the same or different on those last two albums?
This is pretty close, actually. Since the beginning, it has always been more or less the same way. But what is changing usually is the emergency of composition. Like if we have no time, like we start to be on a schedule, like, okay, this has to be done that moment if you want to tour at that moment. So for instance, A Perfect Absolution, this album is the perfect example of emergency composition. This was done just in a couple of months, like super, super fast. For Aisha, we spent way more time in doing the composition, even if it went pretty fast. But this is the same way I mean, Mathieu is composing the music, like he's a guitar player, but when he's making putting out a new song, there are always like he starts with a drum track. So drums is the first kind of thing he's composing, and two harmonized guitars, because he's always composing, thinking about the harmony first, the overall stuff. And the bass, I mean, the bass lines are pretty free. Barbie can write his own thing. So sure, is like there is a structure. There is everything is already there. Once we get that, and so the composition, like it's, I mean, the process is definitely the same. Just time to time we take more time, and time to time we have less time. And for this album, in the end, we really started to make actually the oldest song from the Orb is the Walls of Shades. This we started with that one, and this one was made during the lockdown. So so this is pretty old already, but this one changed, like the first version and the final one is very different. It means that which really made different interpretation. They were like first, almost only clean vocals on the first version, and now in the end I decided to put some kind of black metal or aggressive stuff instead of that. We changed it a bit, but the other songs, there are some kind of examples that were, for instance, Crematheism. I think this is the fastest composition we ever made. That's interesting that you were talking about this, because we had 8 songs, and our Carol, our drummer, started to let's say track the song. So we went in the studio, because we have our own studio. Mathieu is actually the owner of his own shit. And the thing is that Carol, he had like 3 days or 4 days to do all the takes, and he went too fast, and he had like an extra day at the end. So what can we do? And Mathieu was like, oh, I think I still have some couple of riffs. So it was like 7 p.m. It was like, okay, let me spend the night. I will try to make a song. And I remember the day after, it was like 2 p.m. And Carol told me, okay, new song is tracked. What the hell? Like yesterday evening, it didn't exist, and now it's recorded. It's like, so that's a good example. Like Walls of Shades, 2 years and a half to make it. Crematheism, less than 24 hours. That's the big difference between all of that.
Sounds like you guys work well under pressure.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good, because when it was pretty fun in time to time, yeah. So definitely, yeah, I think we need it. We hate it, but
that's how I did every term paper in college. I would wait until 2 days before it was due to start, and then just up all night typing and then produce, you know?
Yeah. Pressure.
I absolutely don't know what you talk about. Yeah, same thing for me. Like all my theses were already, everything was written like very last minute, even the day before giving it back. So yeah, Gorod, there is a bit of this in most of the songs in the end. Yeah.
You've played in the US before, haven't you? You just did, yeah. So how was that? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, last tour was like March and April, so it was like 28 shows, so 1 month, so on 30 days, so it was pretty intense. And usually it's actually we've been 4 or 5 times in the US already, So also there was once in 2016, it was strictly Canada, but we are starting to get used to go there. But for us, definitely this last tour was the best US tour we ever did. That was we were headlining on this one. So let's say small lineup with friends of us. Cognitive was organizing, like promoting and everything. And these are we met together in 2013 because they are Rob, who was like in charge of making this tour, putting it out, was playing with us. So we met at that moment. So yeah, 10 years ago already. That was the first time we've been in the US. So but the turnout of this one was pretty good because usually the previous tour when we were crossing the north and the south, I mean when we were between the shows in the middle were hard, like so very usually creepy venues, almost no one, and actually there was not, I think not a single really proper shot show on this tour. So that was the first tour without shot show. So we were like, yeah, super satisfied with it. Even actually most of the venues were small, but we had like 4 sold out show or 5, something like that. So it was adapted to our tour, and I mean the sellings were good, the show turnout were good, the atmosphere every night was nice. Like it's really exhausting because your country is fucking huge, you know.
Yeah, lots of
So,
driving.
yeah, it was like 10,000 miles on 30 days. Like,
Yeah. Wow.
Did you come back with
What?
any new favorite foods?
Sorry?
Did you come back with any new favorite foods that you discovered here?
Food. I don't think we discovered many new things this time. Like we've been eating classic stuff we already knew. So, no, one of the best restaurants we had was in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that was a Caribbean restaurant actually.
Oh, wow.
So this one was insanely good. Like so many, like we stuff with sweet potato meat and very complicated stuff, and that was our greatest discovery. But it's properly not. This is not really U.S. food in the end. But and also sure, like every year we always experience some kind of barbecue when we are driving to Texas and in the South. So
Yeah.
so that was not discovery, but I'm trying for a different kind of meat and stuff. So no, so
Yeah, I used
and
to
burgers almost every day.
yeah. I used to work for a Danish company, and I would take the Danish people out to a steakhouse, and they would always say,
Yeah.
"Mark, how many grams is this steak?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's a big fucking piece of meat. Eat it." You know.
Yeah, this is just meat. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, I do like the Texan barbecue. This is something
Oh, yeah.
pretty good. Not every day, I mean, but yeah, time to time, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good balance between everything is to, try to do a
Yeah.
little bit of everything. So,
Yeah.
was this your first recording process that was done completely in-house?
No. So this is the usual way of doing things
Oh.
because I mean, for instance, the 3 first album, this is Mathieu who made absolutely everything. I mean, the music, recording it, tracking it, mixing and mastering, even mastering.
Wow.
But no, there's 2 Letting Vision. So the second album and the third one, only the mastering was made by Scott Hall, the one who was playing in Big Destroyer and
Oh, yeah, we know Scott. Yeah.
yeah, so this is Scott who made it, but only the mastering. So the whole thing is like Mathieu makes everything home. It's like super homemade. And for the last one, yeah, Aethra was in some kind of exception because the mixing was made by Daniel Bergstrand. So in Sweden in a way. So that was the only one that was made like that. But on the last recording, the Orb, the mixing was made by Mathieu and our usual sound tech guy. So this is our sound guy. So this is made in the family, and in the mastering was made in a mastering studio which is in Bordeaux. So as the band is from Bordeaux, so this is super local, and this is the usual way. But this time we were even more local than usual. Like, but yeah, that's
That's got to be
this is
great
some
though.
kind
You
of
have so
usual
much
process.
control over everything. You know.
Yeah, this is everything. Like is it's made like home definitely.
That's cool.
So I love how each song kind of has its own mood. Like you've already answered my question about Waltz of Shades because that's so dissonant. And now I understand why.
Yeah.
But like We Are Sun Gods, that middle kind of where it gets broken down, it almost sounds like there's, some kind of Latin influence going on. What was kind of the thought behind that?
I think to me this is really classic of Matthew composing because he's always been playing stuff like this. So this is for us, We Are the Sun God is like the super classic song. Like there is no surprises at all. And we are using working titles before they have a name. And this one was like named Decay God number 2. Like just only that you made like a copy paste from that song. Like, okay, I will do a tapping exactly that one, but this time with a clean sound. So that's the only basically this difference. But when the BPM is the same, the way of playing stuff is the same. Like this is some kind of this is really his influence. And Matthew listens a lot to music from the 70s. So he's a huge fan of King Crimson and this kind of progressive stuff. And this is something that you can clearly hear in this kind of parts. So this is definitely his heritage. But he was also a big fan of John McLaughlin, of Aldi Meola. So this kind of guitar player. Also, sure, cacophony, because the cacophony is one of his favorite things. Like Jason Baker is one of his favorite guitar player. So I think you can really easily hear those kind of influences in it, but with his specific touch. Yeah, to me this is and it sounds like Matthew. And yeah, the thing also, this is the first time like we decided that there's gonna be a drum solo. This is something we never did, so this is something pretty challenging. It's only I'm like, this is the purpose was to make this something like unusual, and we were thinking about live performance about this. So this song is really made for live performance. So this is this was made on purpose, and I think this is why it sound like it sounds. So this breakdown is definitely for stage.
Yeah, drum solo. That's definitely 70s prog. Definitely.
Completely. You are 100% into it with that one. That's
definitely. I was curious. Besides Aldous Huxley, what other kind of literary books are you into, like that you enjoy?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Besides Aldous Huxley, what other books do you get into? What kind of novels or authors do you enjoy?
Books? What do you mean by books?
No, books,
books.
Authors. Yeah.
Wow. Many. Usually, I'm mostly reading archaeological book, like in monography of artists, exhibition catalog. So everything what is connected with art history, and mostly about painters, their lives and everything. And I'm specialized. Actually, my topic when I was a student was the like painting in Central Europe and France at the end of the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century. So I'm specialized into symbolism and this kind of decadent artistry. So most of the things I read are about this, about life of painters, iconography. And my topic was about iconography, actually, because I was working on the image of fatal women, and like how this topic was used in a very misogynist, let's say, era. And I was terrible about that moment. Like, see the women like, oh, they're so beautiful and dangerous at the same time, but so attractive, but oh, we are scared. So and like there are so many beautiful women who are gonna cut your head off or something like that. So this is really this kind of topic, and this is most of the books I'm reading, actually, mostly about it. So I made some kind of exception with the orb, because the previous singer was very oriented in sci-fi stuff, and our bass player is a big fan of sci-fi, and he told me definitely get back to this kind of topic. If you try to, I say, this is not my thing, but I told him, oh, I love Aldous Huxley. This is one of my favorite novelists, so we can find some kind of combination with this. So this is what I did with this one. So let's say some kind of link with the previous work and still stuff I like. so combination between the sci-fi and art history in a bit of it. So
who are your favorite painters in history that you've studied?
Oh, so many. Like, definitely the major artist of my topic was Alphonse Mucha. So the one who made the beautiful women. So this is like very considered, is very famous for posters. So this is let's say most renowned arts. but he made very interesting output, like in his late in his late work after he went back from the US, because yeah, first he's from Czech Republic, then he moved to Paris. So what people know is the influence of Paris, but then he went to the United States, and then he got some financial helps, and then he could work on his final work, which is now this is the fuck, in English I don't know the word. This is the Slavic and the Slavic epic. This is his major work, and so sure these are some kind of my favorite things, definitely. But I'm really connected also with artists like Gustave Moreau. So this is a French painter who's making very precious stuff, and there is a museum of like on his name, in his name in Paris. This is something he made himself, and he played a huge influence on the one of Salvador Dali, which is in Figueras, which is known to be some kind of maze and stuff. But so he is the, let's say, the first who made something like this. Because when you are in his apartment, it feels like a maze. You can there are some let's say secret passages and stuff like this. So this is so cool.
That's
and
really
you are in his home, with you are in his workshop, you are in where he was working, so you feel like you're sharing his like daily life and his working life. And so this artist is, well, I think it's definitely one of my favorites. And yeah, I love like Central Europe and yeah, overall painting. And sure, Edward Munch as well. So the Norwegian one was very symbolistic also. And there was an exhibition not that long ago in Paris, which is really cool. So these are definitely my things. So symbolism from that moment. So pretty dark topics also in the end.
That's okay.
We went to it was a visionary art museum in Washington, DC, and I was surprised, as well as paintings and photographs, they also have like this computerized art.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? I don't know what you think of that, but it was definitely different. Like where it's
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
animated.
Yeah, like animated art.
Yeah, this is what they're doing, like they're doing so video mapping, and this is something like super fashionable, like to make like to get like super immersion in art and like putting on the wall. So this is yeah, this is super fashion now, and I don't know why this is interesting in a way. To me, that's, I don't really care. I really like the original work.
Right.
What I like is when you see a painting, you're really getting in touch with this art. You see the matter. You see all the layers and the thing. This is not just a flat picture. You see like there's some kind of three-dimensional aspects in this way. This is also what is interesting, because the problem with this kind of pictures and images, there is only two dimensions. And to me, painting is not only about two dimensions. There is something more. And this is what I'm still more definitely connected with painting, like, but the objects, like the piece of art. And but then I think that this new way of doing things are very interesting. And so to me, if like people are like getting to know this thanks to this way of like broadcasting it, and I think that's good, because then you can discover it, then you can be curious of it, and then you maybe you're gonna be interested in going further in that way. So
Okay, well, we play a game on the show. Are you ready to play a game?
wow.
Okay.
Why
Like a
not?
theme song.
We do, yeah. Okay, the game is called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay, and the game
Okay.
is I will tell you 5 band names.
Yeah.
One of them is fake. You have to decide which one you think is not real.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we
Yeah.
go. And I'll repeat them. We'll just keep going until you get it right, or I run out of band names. So,
Yeah.
okay. First one is Grave Insult.
Grave Insult.
Second
Yeah.
is Coffin for Mary. Third is Devouring Carnage. Fourth is Temple of the Profane. And the fifth one is Godzilla on Demand.
Zella on Demand.
Yes. So which one do you think of those could be fake?
Grave Insult, I think that's a band. I think I've heard of it. So it's not the first one. What was the second one again?
Coffin for Mary.
I'm not sure it's fake. Coffin for Mary. And the third one?
Devouring Carnage.
Yeah, I think that this exists too. Like Brutal Corpse or something. Which is a real band also. Okay, let's go for number 4, I think.
Are you number 4, Temple of the Profane?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. That is fake. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Because
That's right. Yeah.
it
I
can
can't believe
sound
there's a
like
band
real,
called Godzilla
but
on Demand. I can't believe that's a real band, but
yeah. I was to me that was a trap.
yeah, they're from Scotland. They're doom band. It's crazy. Yeah.
I would have guessed
Yeah.
Godzilla on Demand would be from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay, I got
Very
it.
good,
Cool.
Julian. Very good. You know your extreme monikers. Very good.
A bit, yeah, sometimes.
So I love the Doors cover
Yeah.
of Strange Days. Were there any others in the running, or did you just kind of immediately decide on that one?
So the thing is that our drummer Carol is a super fan of the Doors. So like at almost every party, there is always a moment that he's gonna play it. So
Okay.
he's really into electro music, but the Doors is really something to him. To me, I'm more. I always appreciated their work, but I've never been a huge fan of that band. I'm more, let's say, more in the school of Led Zeppelin. This is more my stuff. I like where it's a bit more weird, but I do enjoy the Doors. But and Cara wanted to make a cover of it, and this is also they connected with Mathieu, so they made the decision of it. So I was not asked of doing it. Carol wanted to make that song, and for Mathieu, he was choosing the song. He was picking up this one because he told me that that my voice would fit perfectly for this one. I was like, okay. I was never thinking about it because
Right.
I'm usually mostly clean singing, not only growling and screaming and stuff. But I'm really like at a very low range. Yeah, and so this is why it's not easy to use. I'm a bass singer, so bass baritone, it's just so it's not easy to put the thing out. Like I'm really into crooner stuff, like. And for instance, when I was a kid, as opposed to a guitar player, everyone wanted I play like the Crash Test Dummies because I could do it
Oh,
like
okay.
that way.
I forgot
With
about that
that,
song.
and Matthew always told me you have to try to make a cover of the Doors. I was like, why not? I was like, okay, let's try it. And when I started recording, he told me, yeah, cool,
Wow.
just listen to it, do it, and like it was super easy to track it, like. But that was not an idea of mine. Definitely, this is like a proposal, an offer from them. And so yeah, you have to do it because they were sure it's gonna be working. And yeah, in the end,
Have you
it was
done
like,
any other covers on any other albums? Like, are there any? Is this your first cover on an album?
I think this is no, they made a cover, but that was instrumental song, "The Texture of Cynic."
Oh, okay, gotcha.
This is on an EP, but that was made. This song was recorded because they've been asked to take part of a tribute to Cynic.
Oh, okay.
So it was a different way, but because I think that we are really not into cover songs. So let's say this is the first cover we made, definitely.
It definitely works.
Yeah, done.
Cool. We try
I
to.
also really enjoyed your video for the orb. Was it tough to because at one point you're almost in a laser cage upright. Was it hard to get used to all that going on and performing, or was you just block it out?
So the thing is that when we really started to let's say decide about the new videos, we had no budget at all because COVID stuff, no shows, everything was canceled. So we were like, okay, we have to do everything ourselves with no budget at all.
Oh,
so Carol decided, okay, I'm gonna be a videoist. I'm gonna shoot it. So this is our drummer, who's like he was the filmmaker. So it's 100% homemade with only our crew, and all the lights come from our lights because we have a lighting tech as well. So he just hired to one laser and made it like this because he just managed to get some lights from his rental company. He's working with when he's actually working on other acts because he's not all sure. He's not only living, he's doing a lot of electro stuff actually. So because, yeah, so this is how we managed to get this kind of lights. So this is just Carl told me, yeah, rent this laser, rent this, and we'll see what we can do. And because our lighting tech is a professional lighting tech. So he was like, no, you should put it here. And just like Carol, like make just the story and another thing. So sure, it was hard because it was a tough work because he was playing many different roles because it's just one guy. So our drummer who made the whole thing, like absolutely everything, even the how is it in edition as well. So
Oh, editing,
filming,
right. That's right.
edition, scenario, writing, everything, deciding of the scenery, everything.
Yeah.
So
Well, it
this
turned
is
out great. I mean, considering you had no budget, it really turned out well. Yeah.
yeah, this is it's really zero budget, and even we shot it in a venue. He managed to rent for zero thanks to his music school because he's a director of a music school, and from that he managed to get like this room. So it's really totally
That's great.
zero budget. I think even for the laser, we didn't really pay it the normal price. So it's like this is
That's
let's
creative
say.
networking. Yeah.
And the first one, Victory, is even cheaper because yeah, we made it after a big party. So yeah, this also comes. I mean, this is definitely the super homemade album. I mean, even the videos, like there are only the crew member, the band members who made everything. What you see. So sure, it was hard, but it was just some kind of trial. So
Yeah.
so this is how it's like this.
You've been, touring as a band for a long time. Is there ever like a gig where just stuff just went wrong, wardrobe malfunctions, or just
I mean,
a
what are some of the
crazy
worst,
fan?
problems you've had, in shows?
The classic thing, like because yeah, so sure we're doing for a long time, and there are many lineup changes, and the usual thing is that someone is having a real job, so no time, no free time. So someone is having a baby, so no free time. So this is like a super classic thing, and this is what happens. Also, for instance, this is why Sandrine, who was drumming, left because then she just finishes her studies and she's a psychologist. And when she started to work as a psychologist, she had no time for touring at all. So this is in this context is tough. So there was just one bad experience with our previous drummer, and we just fired him from the band because yeah, I mean the mood between us was very bad. We didn't trust him anymore and nothing like that. So that was the only very, let's say, bad experience about lineup change, but all the time all the others one were like super logical. Like someone saw like the previous singer, he didn't have time to tour anymore because of his job, because of his so he had like a normal life with a wife and kids and everything. So like super classic things. So we just like filled in that way. So definitely when I joined the band, we had no one of us had a real job, so we had a lot of time.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
There was some crazy story about you being lost, where you couldn't get to the gig because you were stuck and your phone was dead,
So that's the one Lost in Osaka, I guess.
which you wrote a song about too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one where I wrote a song about it on a thrash EP we made especially for a tour with Havoc, Warbringer, and Ex Mortis. And so yeah, the song was some kind of fun. So it was like on tour in Japan in 2013 because 2013 is the year we've been touring the most. We've been touring Europe, US, we're playing in Jakarta, and we ended with Japanese tour. And yeah, that was the day of my birthday. And yeah, usually I'm because when I'm traveling and touring, I'm always trying to wake up to go to the museum to visit the city because I'm really into that, and I'm a tour guide now. So this is my job. So I'm really interested into heritage, and so I spend all the time in these museums. So I'm often the guy who's just like one do stuff on my own. Is often the others just take a rest, but I'm not resting. And when I'm somewhere, I want to see a lot of things. And this is what happens. This night, the problem is that we had a bus call extra super early, and it was my birthday, and I didn't want to go to bed too early. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna party on my own in Japan."
Okay.
And then this is the story, which is a very long story to tell. But yeah, I got lost there. The bus left. I had no phone. I had nothing. I couldn't reach anyone. I had no numbers. like I was absolutely crazy. But the craziest thing is that I went on time on the show,
Yeah.
which was almost 700 kilometers. So let's say 400 miles away from the where we were.
Wow.
So I made it on my own.
And they were all shocked when you showed up, right? Because they hadn't heard from you, right?
Yeah, that was like not us. That was, they really wanted to kill me. Like they thought I was maybe in jail, I was maybe dead, I was maybe like, and yeah, the authorities were searching for me actually.
Wow.
So no, this was really serious.
Yeah.
That was really bad. So I could just tell about it like a couple of months later after that, because they needed time to. That was a
too
very bad
soon, right?
experience with the
Couldn't
others.
bring it up. It's such a rock and roll story. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is real, but I actually I did worse things than this, but I couldn't tell it.
Okay, we won't tell. Right?
Yeah.
So it looked like you had been in Maryland Death Fest in past years, so maybe we're in Baltimore, so hopefully we'll get you back over here for that or something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maryland Death Fest. I was not in the band, but they played there twice, I guess, in 2007 and 10, I guess. And since that moment, I don't know what happened. I think they're just not in touch with promoters anymore. And so yeah, I don't know why we're not playing there. But, it's in April. No, when is it?
Yeah,
May.
April, May. Yeah.
It's May. But I would love to go there, but yeah. To me, this is something that never existed. This is only the Barbie and Mathieu, so the original members play there.
Yeah, I went through the lineup looking for you guys. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, this is because as we played there twice back in the day, and now since 2010, nothing. So we never got in touch anymore. I don't know, just like they just lost contact. I don't know.
Well, hopefully we'll
think we
catch you on
should-
your
yeah, we
next
have to
US
think about it
tour,
again.
whatever it might be.
Yeah, we'd love to see you if you come out this way. So
Yeah, I would really love to do that because the lineup is sick every year. It's just...
Oh, yeah.
The sounds of decay!
Sounds of Decay 1 is Ethereal Tomb, and the album is called When the Rivers Run Dry. The doom and sludge genre was always like a super rich chocolate cake to me. I enjoyed the gooey darkness, but after a few bites, I needed to break it up with a cold milk chaser of thrash. Upon listening to When the Rivers Run Dry from Ethereal Tomb, I never once had the need for a palate cleanse. This is the second full length since 2022 from these prolific kids out of Toronto. From the opening track, Face the Facts, which is a just over a minute monologue spoken over mournful guitar and jazz-like staccato drums, you just know that this is going to be a departure from typical doom. Their lyrics are full of anger and social injustice, or anger at social injustice, which rivals the rage of the most hardcore punk, which is not typical in this genre.
And the title track, When the Rivers Run Dry, call to battle style drums drag the listener in. The vocals of Alexander Senum come out in a baritone level growl, snapping like a junkyard dog. The guitar is distorted and melodic, filled with an eerie, almost Doppler-like effect of an ice cream truck music warping as it drives away from you. The drums dance with the bass work of Adian Weatherall, whose while stifled cymbals add to the unnerving atmosphere.
Victim Mentality is another favorite track with even slower fuzzy guitar, vocals choked with disapproval. Fuck your reality and your victim mentality. The drums provide the feel of a steady heartbeat of doom. It looks like the recording of the album, the drums were manned by Adian Harper, who has since been succeeded by Simon Oliver. That's a very drummer name, Simon. Yeah.
The wildest track is The Sufferance of Mourning, that starts with a crunchy guitar that dissolves into a clean melody that seems almost orchestral in its arrangement. After 2 minutes, the vocals bark in. Suddenly, near the song's end,
the babble of a running stream takes over, later laced with some kind of ambient mechanical tone reminiscent of something from a Kong album. With all the surprise Easter eggs they hide in this basket, I think we may have to create a new category for this groundbreaking trio.
It is really, it's a step beyond it. I mean, if you can't get enough I Hate God and Dystopia, this really is something you need to check out. So check out this song. This song is Victim Mentality.
And another tie-in. The Gorod song also features victim mentality.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, Sounds of Decay 2 is the new album from Demoniac, Nuba Negra. Black thrash four-piece Demoniac from Chile have returned with their third full-length in 20-plus years of existence. Nube Negra, which is Black Cloud, thank you, Google Machine. One of the first things that bounds from the speakers is bassist Vincent Pereira's savory bass tone. Very audible in the mix to marvelous effect. All the lyrics are sung in Spanish, which somehow adds to the appeal. English may be the language of rock and roll, but the undimmed passion of bands like Força Macabra and Ratos de Pereira have shown how potent the native tongue can be.
They successfully break two of my cardinal pre-the-end rules for instrumentation. No clarinets.
Thank you, Supertramp.
And no accordions.
Fuck off, Aerosmith.
Cuts like Acero and Nuba Negra are straightforward thrashers in the style of Death Row or Early Destruction, albeit enhanced by vocalist Javier Mortiz, uber glottal delivery and tasteful fretfulness from the tandem of Mortiz and Javier Sistanes. The instrumental Synthes de Accords is a total departure led by Pereira's bass and some creative keyboard and horn playing from Mortiz. The near 7-minute exploration, Granada, follows suit with slower paced riffs adorned by clarinet for several minutes before backing into a galloping thrash pace once more.
It's kind of weird that every time you do a Google search, the Kiwi Demoniac page comes up. What the fuck did those guys ever do? Must be the tits. Anyway, Nuba Negra is highly recommended for fans of avant metal that still kicks ass, like Psy, the Catafalque, that sort of thing. So let's play the title track. This is Nuba Negra. Okay, Sounds of Decay 3 is a good one.
This is Marduk with Memento Mori. One of the most alluring aspects of black metal is the diversity within the genre. The Celtic frost worship of Fenris to the electronic experimentation of Thorns, the elfin magic of Cradle, and prog-infused weirdness of Datham's Guard can all exist on the same plane. Even so, it's been a long time since I heard such a brutal fastball down the middle as this latest album from Marduk. If folk interludes or symphonic arrangements strike your fancy, this is not the record for you. Each and every track is packed with Simon Schilling's steamrolling blast beats, Daniel's raspy gargles, and wrist-snapping tremolo-picked riffs. It's like these dudes took the relentless speed and rancor of Transylvanian hunger, amped up the production, and pounded a career out of it.
Basically, it's about 40 minutes of this trio slamming your head against the wall, but there are some unbelievable moments, like Daniel's crazed lead work in Blood of the Funeral. Schilling's stick work is impressive throughout, but particularly in the snare pops and double bass workout in Marching Bones. But the real gem of the album is Shovel Beats Scepter, Daniel sounding exactly like an orc from the Lord of the Rings movies in the spoken word intro, delivered in second person, which is highly unusual for the genre. He says, "Are you prepared? Is your rat nest in order? Will your mind be at ease when the shadows grow taller?" Genuinely creepy stuff that ices one of the most brutal releases of the year so far. So why don't you introduce the song?
This is Shovel Beats Scepter.
Wow, that was brutal. Marduk. They're not fucking around.
I love that video with all the skulls and the corpse paint and the crossed bones and the imagery. Crazy.
What a great show. We talked about Jesus's potential bodyguard.
Hey, forget about it. Forget about heaven.
Don't cry the carpenter. We visited a mighty fine record store.
We did. We talked about unnecessary media hype. Our local,
It's kind of the thread all through. And we introduced you to these two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Satanic Sock Puppets reading these stories.
Gonna be huge. This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to Julian from Gorod for appearing on the show. Special thanks to the folks over at Protean Records and Books for having us visit. Snaggletooth theme, courtesy of Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme from Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Season 3 artwork by KC Angel. Decay bands, check them out. Marduk, Ethereal Tomb, Demoniac. All content 2023, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
I'm building an army of the demonic sock puppets.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.